record. We just have Mr. Bruce Anderson appearing here today. We have Ms. Gail Greeley appearing in person without counsel. We're set here today in this matter based upon the petition that was filed by Ms. Barr. She filed a petition for an ejectment under Wisconsin statute. She filed a petition with handwritten information to the court as it relates to this matter. She has the burden to prove why she believes that this is an ejectment versus an eviction. Mr. Anderson, this is your case. You may call your first witness.
I would call Gail Greeley to the stand.
Ms. Greeley, please come forward, raise your right hand, be sworn in, come have a seat at the witness stand.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to provide in this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Court takes judicial notice of the petition and all of the information contained therein filed by Ms. Barr.
Please state your name.
Gail Ann Greeley.
What is your address? Now, ma'am, are you at that property with a written lease?
No, I do not
You?
have the written
Ma'am,
lease at
ma'am,
this time.
Ma'am, judge, that's non-responsive.
Just answer yes or no.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. And do you have any written month-to-month tenancy?
No, it was not provided to me yet.
Okay, again, ma'am, just please answer the question. You understand?
Court will state for the record, she has answered no twice. There is no written lease.
Now, ma'am, do you have any receipts for payment of rent for the month of May 2023?
I have,
Judge, I realize she's trying to put more out there. Ma'am, I want you to just answer the question. Do you understand that? Do
yes, I do through communication.
All right.
So what his question is, Ms. Greeley, please don't try and answer with what you want to respond with. Answer his question. You will get an opportunity to tell me everything that you want to tell me at any other time. He's asking you, did you ever receive a written receipt?
No.
All right. Did you ever receive a written receipt for the month of June 2023?
No.
Do you have a written receipt for paying anything for the month of July 2023? No. You do acknowledge that you don't own the property.
Correct.
You have indicated that you intend to meet with community outreach today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that in an attempt to find different housing for you?
To define different housing and help with filing restraining orders.
Okay.
Who was that you asked that where she went?
Community outreach?
Yes, it's a community outreach worker through North Lakes in Hayward.
You do acknowledge that you don't own the property.
Correct. I answered that already.
I'm sorry. All right. So has community outreach given you any indication as to when you might be provided with housing?
I am meeting with them after the court hearing today.
And where will you be meeting with them?
I have a telephone interview with them today and an actual physical appointment with them tomorrow
And where
at
will
the
that-
North Lakes Clinic in Hayward.
The clinic?
Yes, sir.
The legal clinic.
No, it is not. It is a medical clinic. They deal with sobriety. They deal with my medical issues, dental issues. It's a whole entire program.
I had not heard of that.
Nor have I. No further questions this time.
All right, Ms. Greeley, now this is your opportunity to provide me with, well, I guess you called her as adverse.
Actually, I didn't make it as adverse.
No, you didn't. That's right. She didn't file a suit. This is not the small claims. So you get to tell me anything you want to tell me, and you can tell me it in what's called a narrative, where you can tell me a story. Just you can't go off on too many tangents. Mr. Anderson's going to be able to object to try and reel you back in. But this is the opportunity for you to tell me your side of this case.
So when I paid the rent to Melody for the month of May,
Start from the beginning. Like, I need to hear how you even got involved into moving into this place, what your discussions were, and your expectations, their expectations, all of that stuff.
so Melody was supposed to be dealing with selling the property of where I was living. And she was dealing with Yolanda and Betty Jack with that issue. As far as I know, they have since sold the house without her help now, because there was numerous things going on there. Melody told them that I had moved out. The rest of my belongings were not, I did not need them or want them. She asked me, she told me she had a property out at Spotted Fawn. She asked me my bottom line, what I made a month. I told her I get $906 a month. She says, well, you give Brandy $900 a month. This first month, you will pay $800 and you will help Brandy move out of the property. So that is exactly what she got, $800, and I helped Brandy move out of the property. The 1st of June came, I gave Brandy $900 cash. She said that when I got over to her mother's that she would have the receipt on the table for me. When I got there, I was told to F off, basically. I was attacked by both of them verbally.
I mean, I'm going to reel you in myself, because you way out of where I need to go. I don't know how this came about. I don't know what the terms were. I don't know what you
So I was
agreed to.
supposed to have a 1-year lease.
I need to know those things.
Okay.
Okay? So you can tell me what your discussions were and what your expectations were and what they expected of you, what you both expected of
Okay.
each other.
So I expected a 1-year lease, which is what Melody told me that I would be provided. She said that she was too ill to get to the attorney's office to write it up at this time, that she was a nonstop vomiting and that she could not get out of bed to go provide it. So when June 1st came around, I asked for the lease again. I'll get it to you. There was also an agreement that the Salvation Army would be paying the deposit on the property.
Okay, because now I'm just hearing somebody's going to pay a deposit, but I haven't heard that they required one. I haven't heard that they required anything for a month. I haven't heard anything.
Okay, so
You're jumping all over the field here, okay? Keep it in line and be organized.
I cannot physically do that. I don't have comprehension issues that don't allow me to go down a straight line. I can tell you a story of what they told me. I can't, I don't even understand this. And my PTSD has got me to the point where I am just frazzled right now.
So there was discussions of a lease. Tell me about that.
It was supposed to be a 1-year lease. I was supposed to pay a $900 deposit, $900 a month, and then at $25 an hour, I would provide work services for $300 of that. Because she actually wanted $1,200 a month, but my bottom line payment, I got $906 a month. So she said I could pay the $900 in cash and at $25 an hour, work off the other $300.
When you, Judge, I might have to object to you. That's right. I don't know who she is.
Melody.
I presumed it was Melody, but that is a proper objection and you need to be more specific because we can't go off of he, she, they.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you would work off $300 a month. What else?
Correct. I had 4 dogs and 1 cat when I moved in. I now have 2 dogs that I rehomed with Melody back because she was not taking care of them. They were losing weight.
That's irrelevant.
In the
to
complaint,
the
they
lease.
said I have 6 animals that I moved in with, 6 dogs and a cat, and I did not. I moved in there with 4 dogs and 1 cat.
I don't remember that in Ms. Barr's petition.
I had the pet deposit in there.
That's all. I heard nothing about any other animals, and I only took judicial notice of the petition filed by Ms. Barr. Pets are irrelevant. Go on unless there was some discussion on whether or not you can have pets or not have pets and what those terms were.
So I worked the month of May every single day. Melody was having me do all.
Again, you're getting off topic. I need to know all we're talking about right here. That's going into perhaps if you have a small claims and these could be attached. Today is, hey, do you have a legal right to live in that home for any amount of time? That's why we're here today.
Yes, I was supposed to be there for 1 year. I was supposed to have a period of a 1-year lease.
Other than a monthly rent and a deposit and working some other off and being permitted to have some pets, what other things were discussed about you living there?
So I was to pay the internet bill. It was going to stay in Brandy's name and the electric. The trash services were provided. The yard maintenance was provided. And that's all I knew about as far as that part of it.
All right, what else would you like me to know?
That it has not, the trash services have not been provided. The yard maintenance has not been provided. One time since I've lived there, and that was like the first week I moved in. I've been doing it all myself.
So at one point you were asked to vacate the property, is that correct?
No, I have not, and I have not gotten any kind of a notification to move, no 5-day notice to cure. I talked to a judicare about this, and they said that,
Judge, I can't have her telling me what someone else told her on that.
All
I
right,
realize the
that's
rules,
that's an objection, and he's saying you can't talk about what other people have said or told you because that's what's called hearsay. And unless you have them here to specifically testify, you can't talk about that.
a judicare is legal services for people that cannot
I
provide them.
understand exactly what they are. I worked with them a lot.
Okay,
You can't tell us what they said.
okay.
You may continue.
So I have not been given a notice to vacate the property. I have not been given a notice right to cure any default she feels I am in.
Anything else you would like to tell me as to why you believe that you have a legal right to be at this home?
I was promised a 1-year lease there, ma'am.
Asked and answered multiple times. Mr. Anderson, do you have questions for Ms. Greeley?
I do. Ms. Greeley, have you paid a security deposit for this property?
No,
And have you paid a pet deposit?
I was not required a pet
Ask your
deposit.
question. Have you paid a pet deposit?
No, but I was not required one.
All you can do is answer my question.
Again, you'll be able to say and provide your other information that you wish to the court. But right now, he's asking you a question, which is a yes or no answer.
Now, you were sued in a previous transaction or previous case.
I object. That
Correct.
has nothing to do with this case.
She has the right to object. Why is that relevant?
Well, I'm going to try to determine if that in fact could be determined to be a notice.
No,
Okay.
overruled. Or sustain her objection. I'm overruling what you said.
I have no further questions for today.
You may step down. Well,
Thank
do
you.
you have anything else that you want to tell me?
Not at this time,
You
ma'am.
wanted to say something about a pet deposit?
Yeah, I was not told that there was a requirement of a pet deposit. And when I asked her if she was okay with all the pets being there, she said, absolutely yes. Melody said, absolutely yes, because I have seen you take care of these animals since October, and I've seen your home, and I know that they will not. And you're a very good pet owner.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You may sit down. Mr. Anderson, any other witnesses?
Well, Judge, I realize your calendar, we only have 5 more minutes.
I'll keep going.
Okay, I'd call Brandy Barr.
Ms. Barr, please come forward, raise your right hand, be sworn in, and have a seat at the witness stand.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to provide in this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please state your name and your current mailing address.
Brandy Barr, P.O. Box.
Now, Ms. Barr, are you the title holder to real estate in Burnett County, Wisconsin, with an address of?
I am.
And is that a Danbury address?
Yes, sir.
Now, have you ever received a security deposit either from Gail Greeley or on behalf of Gail Greeley from some other agency?
I have not.
What was that security deposit to be?
It was supposed to be for, you're meaning the amount?
Pardon me?
Are you meaning the amount?
Yes, what was the amount to be?
Oh, I have it written down somewhere.
Here?
Yeah.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your paperwork?
Yeah. It should have been I would think $500. My mother and I had discussed, Melody and I had discussed about it. Should have been 500 for each deposit. And
Each
then
deposit, and what were those?
the pet deposit and then the security deposit and then the rent is supposed to be 1,200.
Okay. Did you receive $1,200 for the month of May 2023?
No,
What, if anything, did you or your mother receive for the month of May?
$800.
So you're saying that not only was there no security deposit, but the rent was also short?
Yes.
And Ms. Greeley said there was no written agreement. Is that also your statement, no written agreement with her?
Yes, there was none.
And what, if any, money did you receive for the month of June?
I had only received $800 and that was for the rent.
I object. It's a lie, Your
Oh,
Honor.
900. I have it, the receipt, 900.
Ms. Greeley, because you can't object because you think she's telling a lie. There has to be a legal basis for the objection. And so based on that, I'm overruling it. She has established her answer and has changed it to 900.
So you received 900 for the month of May.
For
June, I'm sorry, June.
Yes.
And have you received any amount of money from Ms. Greeley for the month of July?
No.
No further questions at this time.
Ms. Greeley, this is your opportunity to ask questions to Ms. Barr concerning your any believed legal right to be at that property and whether or not her testimony conflicts with yours. You may ask for questions.
Did you receive paperwork from the Salvation Army for a $900 security deposit?
I did not.
So you didn't authorize your mother, Melody Espaceth, to fill out and sign on your behalf as your manager paperwork for the Salvation Army?
She is the manager, yes.
Okay, well, I can go get it.
Doesn't matter. Move on.
So did you also tell me there was a pet deposit at the time that I moved in?
Yes.
I object.
Again, you can't object because you think she's lying or not telling the truth. Her testimony versus your testimony may be completely different. It's for me to determine credibility. That's not a proper objection. Overruled.
And when I asked you for the receipt for the months of that I had paid, what did you tell me?
They were on the table.
And were they on the table when I got there?
Yes. You
No.
did not take them.
This is a travesty of justice.
Next
because,
question.
and what was this pet deposit?
For your pets.
How much? The amount?
$500.
And when I asked you for my lease, was it provided to me?
I said it was going to you.
And have I received it?
No, you have not paid.
I paid for the month.
And you can't testify. You've already testified.
Okay.
This is your time to ask Ms. Barr questions.
So you admit that I was supposed to have a lease?
Objection irrelevant.
It's already answered. She's already stated that. And it is relevant. So I am overruling your objection. Next question.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Correct, Mr. Anderson?
So, Ms. Barr, basically this has been in your world, kind of a non-starter since the beginning because you never got a security deposit.
Correct.
And your rents have been short.
Correct.
Did you ever provide her with any 5-day notice to vacate or a 14-day notice?
There's been 2 different occasions where she has been once told by,
In writing, not oral. Did you provide her the legal document in writing of a 5-day notice or a 14-day notice to vacate? And did you properly serve her with that document?
oh, no. Your
No.
Honor.
Okay, next question.
No further questions.
You may step down. Thank you. Any further witnesses, Mr. Anderson?
No.
All right. Do
Today.
you have any other witnesses, Ms. Greeley?
Not at this time.
And you can call yourself if you wish, or you can tell me something else, but I'm going to go for arguments. So you can just provide it in argument fashion. Mr. Anderson, again, for the record, this was filed as a petition for an ejectment, not an eviction.
I understand that. My client was certainly self-represented at the time. Judge, what we have here though, as I used the term earlier, it's a non-starter. I mean,
There's no non-starters in evictions, in types of matters involving leases or things like that, Mr. Anderson. You know that. You're a very, very, very educated and experienced lawyer. In the state of Wisconsin, you do not need to have a written lease. You just need to have lease terms, and there needs to be a meeting of the minds. You know that.
That's exactly where I am in my own notes, that there doesn't appear to have been a meeting of the minds, with the exception that both Ms. Greeley has indicated that the Salvation Army was somehow going to be involved in providing her with a security deposit. She was perhaps under mistaken impressions allowed to access and use the property. There's no meeting of the minds on the amounts of the rent that were to be given to Ms. Barr for the months of May and June. And of course, nothing has been paid since the month of, or for the month of July, and I think today's the 12th, 11th, 12th?
12.
12th, and I was not party to the prior action between them. The courts indicated that that was not an action effective for an eviction either. This was refiled immediately thereafter as an ejectment. I acknowledge, I'm not even sure there is such a term in Wisconsin law, but nonetheless.
Ejectment?
Yeah,
Oh, there is.
I'm not aware of that. Okay.
Yep, there's a legal statute that deals specifically with ejectments. And those are for situations such as a boyfriend, girlfriend type thing, where people live in, they move in, and there's no legal basis, there's no lease, there's no terms, anything like that. And that's what the ejectment process is for.
Well, again, this is where we have Randy.
For a friend that says, you say, come on, stay in my house for a little bit. You come stay in my house for a little bit, you're going through some issues, and then they say, nope, not gonna leave, not gonna leave. That's an ejectment.
Well, that's pretty much what happened here. I mean, there was to be a security deposit. It didn't happen. There's no seemingly agreement on a pet deposit. There's no even terms of what the rent was to be. Ms. Barr says 1,200. Ms. Greeley says
1,200, but she works off 300. She said exactly what I heard. I listened to all of the testimony. Anything else, like any kind of sock 'em to 'em kind of argument?
sorry, kind of what?
Stronger, anything stronger.
Well, the amounts she paid were short anyway. She used to work off 300 and she only paid
800 and 900.
800 and 900.
Didn't pay July.
Pardon?
And she didn't pay July.
And she hasn't indicated what she has done in terms of the $300 work she claims she's entitled to.
Yeah. Ms. Greeley, argument.
So the work that I provided,
I don't need to know work that you provided. I just need to know some argument.
she said I was supposed to be provided with a lease, and I was not. I was supposed to be provided with rent receipts. I was not. There was no agreement on a security deposit on the pets. I was told that I was a very good pet owner and that I was very clean and that they knew the house was going to be taken care of, and it has been. It's immaculately clean. It's way cleaner than it was when I received it. There's also been an electrical issue going on out there, knocking out
Testimony,
electric.
that's more testimony for later date.
Okay.
Anything else you want to argue with regards to this case, Ms. Greeley?
They keep coming in the property without giving me any kind of notification.
You didn't testify to that. That's not why we're here today. All right, well, I will go ahead and tell you where I'm coming from. In the state of Wisconsin, all parties know, at least Mr. Anderson should know, in order to have a valid lease, landlord, tenant, a lease can be oral or it can be written. Doesn't have to be in writing. If it's over a year, it has to be in writing. But here we're dealing with testimony that said 1 year lease. 1 year lease means I don't need to have a written lease to mean that it is an eviction case. It's not an ejectment matter. I need to see if there was a meeting of the minds to some of the lease provisions to see if this in fact did involve a rental property. Whether a lease is either oral or written, a landlord must, this is the law, must, no matter what. If they paid a security deposit, they didn't. If they paid the rent, they didn't. You must provide in writing to the person the notice to vacate, the notice to cure. That's a must. There is a meeting of the minds here. There's a meeting of the minds here in the fact that both testified. Supposed to be a lease, supposed to be a 1 year lease, supposed to be paying, even though Miss Greeley said it's $900 cash, Ms. Barr said it's $1,200 a month. Miss Greeley said, well, it is $900, it was $1,200, but it was to pay $900 cash and then work off the other $300. There is that $1,200 a month was an agreed upon monthly amount. How it's paid and how that happens, that's between the parties, and that's for probably the next action that's going to occur in the case. And so we have that. We have the fact that Ms. Greeley testified that she was to pay utilities in the internet and the electric. And when the court took judicial notice of the petition, all of these things, this meeting of the minds terms it was present because Ms. Barr stated she allowed Ms. Greeley to move into the home. Doesn't matter if she thought she was homeless or not. And she could pay everything: pet deposit, security deposit, back rent, first month's rent, and utilities. And then you only received $900 out of $1,200 that was owed. And then you also received $800 out of $1,200 for the first month's rent. That's all consistent. So if we're talking in terms of what the court believes, and it's not that I don't believe you, Ms. Barr, but you're not the party that was involved here. It was your manager, Melody Espeseth, who you have indicated you have her manage the property. So you weren't involved in those terms and the wheeling and the dealing, but those terms were there. There's enough terms there to say that a rental agreement has occurred. It does not need to be in writing, but you do legally need to provide her with either a 5-day notice to vacate or a 14-day notice to vacate, and you must evict her. This is not an ejectment case. You did not invite her into your home to stay there because you felt sorry for her because she was homeless and said, you can stay for a little bit. And then you tried to get her out and she said no. Both of you stated year lease. Both of you stated year lease. So there is a meeting of the minds there. And the fact that she didn't pay the security deposit, she didn't pay all the rent, that's on you, the landlord, because you never should have let her move in without paying a security deposit or paying the rent. Or if you wanted to protect yourself, have a legal lease signed. Because as it relates to other things, whether or not there's a pet deposit, I don't know. That doesn't matter. That won't come into whether or not there's a valid enforceable lease. There is a valid enforceable lease. And it's a year lease, and it's to be paid monthly rent, pay some utilities, have some pets, and do some things. But now it sounds like Ms. Greeley is not living up to her end of the bargain. And that's fine. You have legal recourse and you can do that, but you have to do it properly. And so I'm going to guess, so I'm denying the motion to eject. This is not an ejectment. This is an eviction. But here's the thing. I'm going to guess you're going to file for an eviction, but you got to provide her these legal notices and do these legal things. But she is attempting to file the small claims. Whether or not she serves you, that's something else. But I'm going to tell you, here's the deal. It all should be heard at one time instead of dragging everybody in again and paying an attorney to come in again and expend these resources that, quite honestly, Ms. Greeley, here's the deal. You entered into It's a binding lease. You have to live up to your end of the bargain, because you can't let some person who owns a property suffer because you can't afford to pay, or you can't do this, or you think something else, or you do all of these things. You have things that you have to live up to too, just like Ms. Barr does.
Yes, ma'am.
So you better figure that out, because right now, I'm gonna tell you, she is, there's enough here on the record which could support something down the road if things are not cured or things are not fixed. And so either there's a meeting of the minds, or it needs to go to the other down the road. So I would strongly encourage you, have your meetings today, you find a place to live, and you just move on.
Yes, ma'am.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.